there? Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the
Unshaken with April Chapman as we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, April Chapman, and welcome to take 2 of tonight's live stream. Y'all, listen, I'm too old for this. I'm too old for all these gidgety gadgets, the hippity hopness, the buttons, the lights. This too much. It's been... how many days has it been since I've live streamed? It hasn't been that long, but I had not restarted my computer. I've been on a little hiatus, you guys. I released a few videos this week, but I just didn't feel like doing nothing, okay? I am struggling through this winter weather, and I don't know what happened. I was sitting here, y'all, for once, I was on time. Like, the clock hit 8:30, and I pressed the button. And Lil Buddy was singing. Y'all know I love that rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. He's singing, and next thing I know, I'm clicking buttons, and the next scene did not want to play. I couldn't even, I was trying to come on camera to see you guys, and I couldn't even do that. I had to do a complete hard restart of my entire system. So, happy Saturday to you guys. Happy Valentine's Day to all of the lovebirds out there, whether you booed up with somebody and y'all are just watching me because you like, I ain't going out fighting them crowds, sitting in them long lines, eating nasty food. We sitting here, we going to do Netflix and chill. And then in 20 minutes, all of us going to be in the bed. Whatever it is that you're doing, welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm so grateful to be here with you guys tonight. It's been a busy week. It has, listen, let's see. February is a very busy month for us. I got 3 kids born in the month of February. Something about, I don't know, count back 9 months. I don't know what all of that was about, but I got a set of twins, and my son turned 18 yesterday, you guys. And guess what? I didn't even cry. Y'all. I cried and boo-hooed like a baby when that boy turned 13. But it was something about him turning 18, I was kind of looking forward to it. Like he's like a man now, and technically, he can kind of do whatever he wants, even though he's a good kid. He's one of those that's just always been on the straight and narrow, always been the obedient child. I could not have asked for a better firstborn, but it's that second one. It's that second one that you gotta watch. But anyway, welcome to the live stream. Shout out to all of you guys watching us on YouTube or on X or on Rumble. We are here tonight and we have got so much to talk about. We've got to catch up on what's been going on with the SAVE Act, you guys, because these Democrats are out here. I mean, they have pulled out every stop in the book. And now they calling the SAVE Act Jim Crow 2.0. You know them ninjas are desperate when they start appealing to vestiges of Reconstruction and slavery and Jim Crow. Like they got to pile on the oppression. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that tonight. Shout out to everybody in the live stream. Hey to Sister Layla. So good to see you all tonight. So we're gonna talk about the SAVE Act. And this is really dealing, as I discuss it, it's one of the most predictable scripts in American politics as it relates to how the Democrats are responding to it. Like anytime the Democrats don't like a bill, they never argue the bill. They never present, these are the issues with it. All they do is argue a ghost story because it's all they have left. So today's ghost story is the SAVE Act is Jim Crow 2.0. And what I find it interesting is that they are allowed, and when I say they, there are certain aspects of the Democrat Party, particularly the white liberal, that has learned that if we weaponize legitimate grievances that happened in history to Black people, if we just pull, we pull from that reserve, that bank, that it'll work. And for some reason, Black liberals don't even find it offensive when the white liberal does that, but instead they kind of play along and go along with the narrative, and they're just out here looking stupid. So I am here to tell you that alleging, hey Brandon, we are back. I have no idea how that comment got on the screen. I didn't know I was even clicking buttons, but I guess I was. This whole argument about the SAVE Act being Jim Crow 2.0, it's not a serious argument. It's actually a scare tactic. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to discuss how the Democrats, what they're really doing is they're pushing propaganda. So their goal is to tag a few Black liberals, and they let the Black liberals insult Black people. Now, the white liberals will participate in this as well, but they know that they only have a limited amount of bandwidth in order to do it. So they always call on the Black liberal to do their dirty work. Now, one of these days, y'all are gonna listen to me. How many times have I told y'all that Democrats are masters looking for slaves, and Democrat voters are slaves looking for masters? Like the Democrat master always has the expectation that their voters want to be managed like slaves on a plantation. Think about it. If you're a slave, right? You can't be expected to do something as basic as get an ID. No, 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 no. You need master's permission. There's this old it's actually not a trope. It's actually back, I'm trying to remember the time period it was. It was actually during the times of slavery. That if you were a Black person, and even through Jim Crow, if you were traveling somewhere, and this was after slavery. And I'm going to try to tell this story as to not be profane with it, but I need to tell this story for the shock value of it. If a Black person was caught, let's say Jim Bob. Jim Bob is like the neighborhood drunk, right? He's the Black dude, he don't really hurt nobody, but he stay out, he drink a little too much. Well, let's say Jim Bob is out and he's drinking, and the the police see him for, like disorderly conduct. There was a time in this country where the authorities would ask Jim Bob, um, um whose n-word are you, like who do you belong to, and they would elicit the name of a white person that they know to claim them and to vouch for them. So the white man Jethro might come along saying, "Now Jim Bob, that's my n-word. He ain't bothering nobody. He was just out drinking a little bit too much. It's all good. I'ma come get him." And then the authorities would wait for Jethro to come and get Jim Bob. And it was this pet like master slave relationship, even though we were well past the time of slavery. It's the same way with Democrats and black voters, right? They can't expect you to do something as basic as get an ID. You're not smart enough or sophisticated enough to take on such a task. You need the white liberal to come and vouch for you. And so when they like, well, who's in word is this? Y'all know I really want to say it. Y'all know. Y'all can say it like it's right there on the tip of my tongue. I can roll real freely and say it, but I'm a behave tonight. I ain't gonna say it. But basically, the Democrat Party is asking the question: whose N words are these? These is ours. These is our N words. We vouch for them. They're not smart enough for no IDs now. Now we can't be putting too many standards or requirements on them because they don't know how to do stuff like that. So tonight, we're going to talk about what the SAVE Act is, what it is not, and where it stands today legislatively. So, before we go any further, the first thing that I'd like to do, let's talk about what the bill actually says. Because one thing I've learned is that when people don't want you to read something, it's usually because the truth is going to ruin the little temper tantrum and the theatrics that they already had planned, right? They've been saving this Jim Crow narrative for a while. Now, this is not the first time they've pulled it out. Remember when Joe Biden was talking about they were going to put y'all back in chains? And then here in Georgia, we experienced Stacey Abrams and her whole crew invoking vestiges of Jim Crow 2.0, and it cost us the All-Star game, but we still passed some voter reform in this state, but they claimed that it was Jim Crow 2.0. But the end result was that we had more black people vote after the election reform than before, but it doesn't matter the outcomes. It doesn't matter the results. You just have to say this. So what we're going to do now, the SAVE Act, in basic terms, it's very simple. It is designed to make sure that only American citizens can register to vote in federal elections. Like, would you look at that? Like, that doesn't seem very a tall order or a difficult request. But the goal is to make sure that only American citizens vote, right? So the idea is to focus on voter registration, not voter suppression. We want all Americans to vote, but the key word in that sentence is American. Now, it's funny to me because if you guys can remember, y'all remember during COVID when these jokers was out here trying to mandate that you show your paperwork and show your ID to demonstrate to whoever asked on request that you were inoculated with that submuscular injectable biologic that a lot of us did not want. And yes, I admit I refused to submit myself. You're not going to pierce my skin. I have bodily autonomy. The same arguments that they would use for abortion, my body, my choice. It's my body, it's my choice, right? We can be consistent in that. But remember how the left was all for identification, right? Like you actually had people walking around here with vaccine identification cards. See, Democrats don't have a problem with IDs. They just want the IDs on their terms when they're the ones in control. They are they're the ones that authoritarian overreach, right? If there was ever a tyrannical authoritarian type regime, it would be that of the Democrat Party. They know their ideas are trash. They know that their ideas and their platform is incredibly unpopular. But do they care? No, they don't care. They've seen the data. They know that overwhelmingly a lot of Americans, the majority of us, we support voter ID, including black folks. We don't have a problem with voter ID. The local crackhead down on the corner got an ID on him right now. But here's the thing. It's not about skin color. It's never been about skin color. It ain't about going back to Jim Crow. This is about the most basic civic boundary. Remember, Democrats don't do boundaries. They don't want us to implement a boundary that says, if you're a citizen, yes, we want you to vote. But if you're not a citizen, no, you cannot vote. Because this is something that I want you guys to think about. If we don't put a boundary in place that says American citizens can vote, but non-citizens can't, what the heck does it mean to be an American? If we don't have certain rights that are reserved just for us, if we have to apply every single distinctive right that's afforded to us under the Constitution to any Joe Schmo that decides to waltz up in here, whether he come on foot or by boat or by, I don't know, what do you call them things? I was gonna say an android, but that don't make sense. Not an android. What do you call the thing? The perimenopause brain. No, humans can't ride on those. I was gonna say, what do you call the forget it. It don't even matter. I'm thinking, y'all, when I tell y'all the word, I see it. I see it. It's like I'm grabbing it, but I don't know. The point I'm making is it doesn't matter if it means nothing to be an American if a non-citizen gets all of the rights and privileges just like the rest of us. I still can't think. That's bothering me. I'm sorry, y'all. I cannot move on until I remember. I was gonna say, what do you call those? Shut up, Brandon. It's not an airplane. No, no, y'all. That'll raise my cortisol so bad. I can't think of it. And it doesn't make sense. What I was gonna say does not make sense because humans you can't drop them. Okay, let's play charades. Y'all know Amazon is starting to deliver packages with the not a flight, no, not a parachute. No, no! I can't, I can't. What is it called? A drone! Ah, yeah, a drone. That's the word I was looking for. I kept wanting to say Android. I'm like, it's not an Android. It's a drone. But I'm like, you can't drop people on drones. So it didn't even make sense. I'm just bothered. I couldn't think of the word. I couldn't. I promise you. I saw the word in the air and I couldn't grab it. I couldn't grab it. Robert is sitting here like, Lord have mercy. Somebody help her. I couldn't think. Drone. Yes. Thank you. Anyway, as the darn bill stands right now, let's start over. If you're a citizen, you can vote. If you're not a citizen, you can't. However, the bill has already passed in the House of Representatives. I was like, that's great. But it is not yet passed the Senate. In fact, now I could be wrong. A couple of days ago, y'all, this ain't funny no more. We moved on. Okay? The word is drone. I figured it out. But it was a struggle. I was out here fighting for my life trying to think of that word. Y'all, that brain fog is. Are you praying? Are you praying for your fellow perimenopausal friends? Like, did you lift their name up before the Lord this week? If you haven't, shame on you. Shame on you, because we are out here struggling with the basics, words, vocabulary words that we've known our whole life. I don't know why I was struggling. I couldn't think of that word to save my life. And I could see it. I could see it. It was my friends are in the chat. We played our game of charades and we figured out it was drone. Y'all are named airplanes, parachutes, paras. Yes, I needed to bring the fan out because I was so frustrated. It triggered my cortisol went up and the stress response came in and the whole body just started overheating. So anyway, now what was I saying? Hold on. Oh, last time I checked, there were 9 senators who had not voted on the SAVE Act, and unfortunately, one of those senators was Senator Tim Scott. I wasn't shocked that Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins had not agreed yet. They were not on board, and I get it. Tim Scott surprised me. I was just like, what are we out here doing, Tim? Tim is moving really Weasley lately, and I don't understand something like the SAVE Act, why he would not be on board. As of this recording, I don't know if that's still the case, but last time I checked, there were 9 senators who had not yet agreed to vote to pass it. And that was a problem for me. So the question is, will the Senate take it up, pass it on so Trump can sign it? I don't know, but here, in my opinion, we need to just go on and nuke the darn filibuster and get it done. We have nothing to lose. We're tired of playing these games. This is just where we are now. However, as y'all know, the left loves confusion. So I want to spend a little time separating the lies from the truth. And we've got a couple of truths. Truth number 1 is that this bill is about citizenship. This is why Democrats hate it. Okay, they claim that, we don't have any evidence that illegals are voting because it's already illegal for an illegal to vote. I'm like, we hear you, but if that's the case, why is it that in blue states, they are refusing to submit their voter rolls so we can just take a look and verify if such an attestation, like they attest that illegals are not voting. But we all know that's not true. Now, here's something else though. This is not necessarily tied to the SAVE Act, but it does support the theory why Democrats want illegals here. They claim illegals are not voting. I'm like, okay, here's how illegals are impacting elections and why they definitely want ICE out. They don't want ICE deporting these individuals, and they don't want the SAVE Act passed is because, think about it. How many votes does your vote and my vote represent? Right? We would agree 1 vote, 1 individual, 1 vote. The illegal is not that. Elon Musk only represents 1 vote, correct? Correct. But because Elon Musk has a lot of money, Elon effectively can buy a whole politician if he wants to. He could say, politician, I am furious with this trans agenda in terms of what they've done to my son. I need to make sure that legislation is passed to ensure that no other children are impacted by this trans agenda again. How much will that cost me? Elon don't have to cast a vote. All Elon has to do is find him the politicians that's going to push his agenda, and his vote is powerful because it's backed by money. It's the same thing with the illegals. Think about what happened in Minnesota. You had Keith Ellison. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you. I hate to get off on this tangent, but I'm going to show y'all a video. Keith Ellison essentially is one of those bought politicians because the Somalian community, the illegal ones may not be voting, but as a voting bloc, their agenda is pushed when they go to him and say, hey, listen, you get us some learning centers. You make sure we have some learning centers, and we will ensure that we donate XYZ to your campaign. Keith Ellison is like, oh, okay, well, what can I do for you? We need you to make sure that the money keeps flowing, and we need you to make sure that you pass this piece of legislation and this piece of legislation, and you keep this city a sanctuary city, because we can't have the feds snooping in and around what we got going on. Said politician says, your wish is my command. None of those Somalians, if they're illegal, may or may not have voted, but they represent collectively the money behind the vote because they buy a politician. So that's my point. As it relates to the SAVE Act, Democrats, I'll give them credit. If they want to attest and affirm that illegals are not voting, that might be true right now. Now, I don't believe it's true. I believe many of these illegal immigrants are voting. They are. However, it's not about what they have the ability to do today. They are thinking the long game. Democrats absolutely intend for them to vote in the future. That is the ultimate plan. This is why the Democrats don't want them deported. They need their new class of electoral serfs. Those are their new slaves. They've already given them boatloads of free stuff. It's your stuff nonetheless, but it was free to them. It just wasn't free for us. They took our tax money, gave it to these illegals in order to bribe them and to buy their loyalty. But the plan is absolutely to have them voting so that they can't have the SAVE Act passed. That's the goal. Now, here's another myth about the SAVE Act that they're not saying. They keep comparing the SAVE Act and saying that it prevents Black people from voting. That's not what it's doing. The SAVE Act is saying non-citizens can't register to vote in federal elections. But that doesn't stop the Democrats from bringing Black people into the conversation. And here's the psychological psyop. I was watching A Righteous Perspective, and he does his normal panel morning show, and shout out to the wonderful people on that panel. I listened to them talk about how they bring Black people into the discussion because it's something about the Stockholm syndrome, which is absolutely real, where we will see with observable reality what they are doing in terms of bringing the illegal in, displacing the Black American, and giving the illegal priority. We'll see that with our eyes. But it's something about the Stockholm syndrome that prevents us from saying, wait a minute. These people are effectively oppressing us in theory and with their policies and how they take our money and give it away to someone else. We never make the logical leap and say, perhaps these people don't have our best interest at heart and we should vote them out. We do the opposite because we allow them to weaponize our legitimate history, things that happened to us where we may in the past have been discriminated against. All they do is invoke those same feelings to, like, just like an abusive relationship, to bring you right back. And just like in Stockholm syndrome, you run right back to your oppressor. And so the other truth that I wanted to bring up, they're trying to assert that the SAVE Act is some sort of akin or similarity to a literacy test. No, it is not a literacy test. It is not a poll tax. It is not a guess how many jelly beans are in the jar test either. It's none of that. Nobody's making you recite some sort of a verbiage or poem. That's not happening. But notice how, and matter of fact, I keep saying I'm going to show the clip. I'm going to show you guys the clip where they are comparing the SAVE Act to, it's no different than how they were making Black people recite the Constitution from memory. It's nowhere in no way similar to that. No one is making you pay to vote either. Nobody's making you show up at some secret polling location at 5 a.m. and you got to play some game with the registrar. That's not happening. It is not Jim Crow 2.0. We know for a fact that Jim Crow was racial exclusion. What the SAVE Act is citizenship verification. Now, y'all know how I'm always trying to empower Black Americans to function in their freedom and to assert the fact that our blood was shed just as much as the white man's blood was shed for the independence of this nation, and we have every right to every part and lot that is afforded to the American citizen. Notice how the Democrat wants to constantly remind you that you're not. They want to equate, they want to bring your oppression back on the forefront of your mind so that you never fully assimilate and view yourself as an American. This is why we have the hyphenated American. We out here calling ourselves African Americans as opposed to saying, I'm an American citizen. The sooner we start asserting the fact that we are citizens in this country and that this is our country and that the blood of Union soldiers cry from the ground and the blood of so many Black patriots who fought in the Revolutionary War, this is our country too. But they don't want you to identify with any sort of national heritage or American patriotism because the white liberal wants to keep you in this mindset of being a subjugated second-class citizen. So that's the first lie that we need to distinguish, that yes, Jim Crow was about racial exclusion, but the SAVE Act is about citizenship verification. And we're not going to have a problem with doing that because we're Americans. But here's some lies that we've heard them bring up, that people of color can't get an ID. Now, I've heard that. I've heard them, they don't say it in those terms. What they do is try to make it appear as if it's some insurmountable obstacle that everybody else can figure out how to do. But for some reason, it's a struggle for us, and how it's going to disenfranchise so many Black Americans. And to me, it is the most condescending thing to say, as if, like I said, we got crackheads who have IDs. But they don't want you to believe, that asking for an ID is it's too lofty of a request. And it's not something that you like, we can't adult. They try to assert that, well, if we implement this, it's going to stop Black people from voting. I'm like, no, it won't. Black people fly on airplanes all the time. We go on cruises. We are out here buying homes. You need an identification to enroll your child in school. You can't drive a vehicle without an ID. You don't even actually, even if you don't drive a vehicle, to purchase cigarettes, alcohol, to get an apartment, don't you need an ID to apply for welfare too? Now, I don't know, some of these blue states, maybe not, but you can't get into a federal building without an ID. So I'm like, spare me, cry me a river. It just doesn't make any sense. Here's the truth. If Democrats genuinely believed that non-citizen voting wasn't happening, they would have no problem proving citizenship. Because if it's not happening, then verifying it would be easy, right? Right. So here's the question. The question now becomes, why are they melting down the way that they are? Right? Why are we having to be assaulted with all of this propaganda about Jim Crow 2.0? So let's go ahead. I'm going to cue up this video, or at least I thought I was. Yeah, I am going to do it. Let's watch this crash out. You know, before I start, I just want to say that the Black elite liberal is the most disingenuous. I'm trying to be nice because y'all know I come with some names. I really care about. I want to be nice. They are incredibly disingenuous. If you watch their body language, how the condescending attitude, the way they're gonna gaslight Scott Jennings, it almost makes you want to throw up. I'm trying to understand. I know why they use. Here's what I was gonna say. I wonder if these individuals are just really good actors and actresses, or if they really do believe the propaganda that they spew. Because if you think about it, if you were indoctrinated in liberal university or college, and all you know how to be is a melanated Marxist, then you might, as a deeply held presupposition, believe the foolishness that these people are saying. I just struggle to be convinced that they really believe it. They might. I just can't. I can't imagine living my life this dumb. I just can't. So let's take a listen to this.
Championing a bill that actually would take voting rights away from a lot of Black people in this country.
Wait, what voting rights is he taking away from Black voters?
Oh, if we look at
the SAVE Act?
The SAVE Act, that's exactly.
Notice how they all are like, well, the SAVE Act. She literally said that this is taking away the right to vote from Black voters. And I love Scott's face. Scott's like, what's being taken away from Black people? And they're like, the SAVE Act. Like they say it like it's a matter of fact. Like, where have you been? Like, why don't you know this?
What we're talking about. That is actually going to continue to disenfranchise overwhelmingly a lot of people of color. There are so many civil rights organizations that have run the data. If we look at the way that it is going to disenfranchise Black voters, it's the same reason why Chuck Schumer called it Jim Crow 2.0.
So,
this is the same president. If we want,
she's just talking. Scott has asked her how like 6 times. How does the SAVE Act disenfranchise Black voters? What provision in the SAVE Act prevents Black American citizens from voting? It's a simple question. Instead, all we get is the propaganda rhetoric, the robotic responses with a lot of passion and eye blinking. And like, she's a Democratic strategist. She can't answer the question. They're not going to answer the question, but they don't even believe that the American people are owed a response to this question because they're so used to the low information voter that all you have to do is use buzzwords: disenfranchised, Jim Crow, racist, discriminatory, voter suppression. All you got to do is throw those terms out. You don't have to define them. You don't have to qualify them. You just need to say them.
You haven't said how yet.
I am talking about it. It's the way that you're putting new poll taxes on this.
So an identification is now a poll tax. She was like, we're just putting new poll taxes on them. How? How is an ID a poll tax? Because if that's the case, we're putting the same standard on white people. So now white people here's the question. Is it a poll tax for white people and Black people, or is it only considered a poll tax when Black people are expected to meet the same standard as whites? And the reason why I'm talking in these categories and constructs of white and Black, because it's the only language these brain dead retards understand. You got to talk to them in their own language. If it's a poll tax, is the poll tax only being levied against Blacks, or is the poll tax being levied against all people? If it's a universal standard across the board for all American citizens, how is that a poll tax? And even if it is a poll tax, how is it difficult First of all, let's just go with the reasoning. Okay, fine. Call it a poll tax. It's an equal poll tax. Equal opportunity offender for all. There are, matter of fact, let them explain, or the conclusion that is drawn from this that Scott is going to draw. Listen to this.
You're making people have, that's what we can call them now. It's kind of an idiom, right? If you want to say that people have to prove that they are citizens, that they have to prove with a voter ID, the reality is you're layering what is a constitutional right for the American people and making it harder for people to vote in this country, and it's going to disenfranchise Black voters.
Here's the part that makes it difficult for me. I don't know how it's harder. Every time I have voted, I've never voted in the state of New York. I've only voted here. The first thing I do, I don't even go in with my purse. I take my ID out and I put it in my pocket and I stand in line and wait to vote. And the first thing that they ask me for is my identification. It's like the first thing they ask me for. So I'm confused how this is now going to disenfranchise people. Now, she does admit that calling it a poll tax is like an idiom. It's like a euphemism to imply that this is a barrier or a roadblock. But you can't call it Jim Crow because Jim Crow was very specific. It was based on ethnicity. If this is some sort of poll tax, it's being levied against everybody. Why you don't see white people out here saying, this is racist? This is going to disenfranchise us. How are we going to be expected to show an ID? How come we don't see anybody else whining and crying about how this is going to be a roadblock other than these Black liberals and the white liberal that is using this as a smokescreen to legitimize their new electoral serfs, their new class of slaves that they're trying to acclimate and infuse into the American fabric and give them the same rights and privileges as the rest of us, which is the which is the right to vote. She can't explain it. She can't explain it.
Concern you that you're making all these claims, you've yet to lay out how it's hurting anyone, but 76% of Black voters think we should show an ID to vote, 80% of Hispanic voters, 83% of the American people. Are you saying that Black voters
the
are
SAVE
too
Act
dumb to know what's good for them? I mean, it sounds pretty condescending to me.
The SAVE Act is not
three-quarters of Black voters
who
want voter ID.
Just to be clear, the SAVE Act is not just about ideas. The SAVE Act is about
proof
of citizenship.
So what?
Right. It is about proof of citizenship. So what's the problem, Abby? We need Americans to prove that they are citizens if they want to participate in the electoral process. Why is that so difficult? Why is that such an insurmountable hurdle to be met? That's my question.
It doesn't.
It also makes it very hard for married women who've changed their lives.
We've talked about this before.
This idiot, she get on my nerves. It's gonna make it very hard for the married women. Listen. I don't understand. This is unsustainable. The next generation is looking at us fight over the basics. My son just turned 18 and he's got a permit, and he is as soon as he takes a driver's test, he's going to get a driver's license. And he did that all by himself. Outside of asking me, Mom, how do I apply for my permit? We let him fill out the paperwork. Now, there was some documentation we had to provide to him, like proof of residency, our like mortgage statement and stuff like that. But outside of that, when we took him there, he went and gave the paperwork and did all of the first things that I did was I made an appointment. I went to the Social Security Administration. I got my Social Security card changed. And once I did that, I was able to get my driver's license changed from my maiden name to my married name. Like, these are just things that you do as an adult. But they want to make it seem like this is so hard. It's the way that they insult the intelligence of Black people the infantile way. I'm telling you, blacks are the Democrat. You're their pets. You're pets. Now, the illegals is definitely their new slave class, but you are the grandfathered pets in their paradigm. You are.
It's not, it actually, there's an argument to be made that red state voters, women, poor white voters could be just as.
I know, you think they're dumb too, don't you?
Young
I mean,
voters.
that's the thing.
Nobody
I hear these
dumb.
arguments. I've heard
Scott,
Democrats all week long.
No, please don't. No, you listen.
There's a deflection from talking about Donald Trump's racism.
I'm actually
right there.
You should be thinking about your constituents or your
Yeah, I think they're smart enough to figure out how to
colleagues in
register to vote,
Kentucky.
Abby.
Hold on. Most Americans don't have a passport. Many Americans don't have access to their birth certificate. Many women, a majority of women.
This is retarded. She's dumb. I can't stand this chick. I'm sorry. You're not supposed to say that. She is. Listen, I heard someone say it is very difficult to be dumb with a smartphone because you can literally talk to your phone and say, how do I get a copy of my birth certificate? And it just tells you the steps. Like it'll just tell you this is where you go and this is how you get it. I have several certified copies of my birth certificate, my husband's birth certificate, and all of the children's birth certificate. And they're right. I had a passport when I was younger and I let it expire. If you can go to the post office, you can get a passport. But that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant because a driver's license is sufficient enough, if I'm not mistaken, to prove citizenship, I think. But if it's not, getting a birth certificate is not very hard. It's not difficult at all. These are just excuses.
Women who change their names for marriage have to provide additional proof that they've changed their legal names in order to register to vote.
I have heard Democrats make these same arguments.
Why don't you actually respond to the substance of what I'm saying?
I am, and
as
the substance
opposed
is
to
this.
making this about something that it's not.
You're saying,
it's not just about voter ID.
married women,
it's also about
black
who has
voters,
access
and rural people are too stupid to figure out how to register to vote.
No, that's not that.
See how they take offense to it because they want what Scott is saying to be perceived as just so offensive and outlandish and outrageous. Excuse me? Listen, let me explain the playbook here. The Democrat playbook is fear over facts. When the left is losing an argument, they don't bring receipts. All they do is bring trauma imagery to the conversation. They don't say, here is clause A, section 2, this is why it's unconstitutional, XYZ. No, they'll just say, well, remember the Klan and remember the hoses and the dogs and the literacy tests. And they just want to invoke all of this trauma imagery. And now she's trying to even loop in whites, poor whites in red states. Well, Scott, you need to be thinking about your constituents in Kentucky, I mean, because this is going to be difficult for them to achieve too. And I'm like, the way they look at Black folks and anyone else who is not some of elite status like them, as if you're an infantile pet that can't do the basics. And then they want to gaslight you like, if you don't obey our narrative, not only do you not care about your people, but this is oppressive. You're not even viewing this whole argument rightly. This is emotional blackmail, you guys. If we're just going to be honest, this SAVE Act, it is about one basic principle, and it's only citizens get to vote. This is not Jim Crow. This is a boundary that because of Joe Biden's nefarious actions of opening up the border and letting all of these individuals in, that now our country can't define who its citizens are. And if you can't define your citizens, you can't protect your sovereignty. And the best way to do that is to put a boundary, a roadblock in place to say, This process right here is reserved only for American citizens. Let me show you guys. There's a graphic that I want to show you. I would let us listen to some more of this, but it's hard. It's hard, you guys. There's a graphic I want to show you guys. All right. Look at this graphic here. This is illegal entries by percentage of home population, meaning the percentage of immigrants who came to this country and the number of them that came here, the percentage total that they represented back in their home country. So here you've got, let me see if I can. 8% of Nicaragua entered the U.S. in 4 years. 8% of a whole country. 8% of those people came here. 8% of them. Cuba, it's a little bit under that. 7%. 8% of their entire country. 7% of Cuba. That's almost 10%. 6% of Haiti, 6% of Haiti is here, and 5% of Honduras. Then Venezuela's down here. Guatemala is right behind. Over 4 years, from 2022, look where the spikes were. Y'all see that? Unbelievable. We wouldn't be having this conversation if this were not a thing. If this had not happened, we'd not have to have a conversation about the SAVE Act. Now, in my opinion, I think the SAVE Act needed to happen whether this happened or not, but it is imminent and it must happen now because of this. We can't protect our sovereignty because we're unable to define who the citizens are because 8% of Nicaragua, 7% of Cuba, 6% of Haiti, 5% of Honduras. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That's how many people poured in here. So, as it relates to what this broad is still talking, as it relates to this conversation, this is not Jim Crow 2.0. That is not a script, okay? Nor is it an argument. Jim Crow, as we know it, was a racial caste system. It was enforced oppression, and it had a goal. It was designed to block Black Americans from full active civil participation. That is not what citizen verification is. We're trying to define what it means to be an American again and to distinguish those who've earned that right by birth or naturalization, and those who came in here the wrong way. It is not a racial caste system. The difference is very simple. Jim Crow said because you are Black, you're not a full citizen. The SAVE Act is saying because you're not a citizen, you can't register to vote. Those two are not the same thing. That's like saying requiring a license to drive is the equivalent to slavery. And it's just not. It is a standard. It is a boundary that must be set to establish order in this nation. And Black liberals know that. They're just pretending not to. All the gasp and the what? I mean, it's ridiculous. The reason why they're pretending not to understand is because the political economy of Black liberalism is built on keeping Black folks emotionally captive. That's why every conversation, every policy discussion is always framed in a category or construct of ethnicity. It's race or gender or some other oppressive narrative. They have to keep you emotionally captive because if you're a free-thinking Negro, you might actually vote different. you might actually start paying attention and realize that the people that's been literally cracking a whip, as long as you can remember, it's been the liberals, the Democrat Party. And the last thing they want is for you to break free from that plantation. So they send out these overseers, the nice little, Harvard elites, like the Joy Reid types. They send them out in order to emotionally rage bait you so that they can stay on the payroll of the liberal left. So what's actually happening here is these CNN black elites and all the Twitter theologians of struggle, they're basically saying that black people can't get an ID. And, it's just too hard for Hispanics to figure out the paperwork. And, the rural rights, they don't even have roads. So how are they going to get be able to vote with voter ID? It's actually offensive it's offensive to not just black people, but all of the categories and the constructs that they speak of. It's a very dismissive, demeaning, condescending attitude. But it doesn't matter, because all of the the liberal left, they need you to always view yourself in a subordinate, oppressive role. They need you to see yourself that way. They need everybody to view themselves as just being lost and confused and helpless. And the only solution is that we, the Democrat Party, you need to trust us, because we're the ones that are going to protect you. They're trying to put all these standards and requirements and just making it hard for you to live in this world. That is the soft bigotry of low expectations. And all they've done is put a fresh coat of melanin over it. That's all they've done. They're not advocating for you. They're infantilizing you. That's what they're doing. They're saying that black people are perpetual children that need someone to come in and make things easy. Kind of like, remember when you was too small to reach the sink to wash your hands and brush your teeth, and your mama had to put the stool up, or they pick you up and hold you over the fountain? That's what the black liberal, they want to treat you like that. That's what they want to do. And we are warned by people who are always using manipulation, using smooth words to control you. See to it that no one take you captive. All this is empty deceit right here. It's empty deceit packaged as empathy. And it's the gaslighting. Like, when you just watch their body language, you're like, oh, y'all are so freaking fake. They want you to believe that you're racist for wanting rules. So if you want borders, you're racist. If you want election integrity, you're racist. If you want citizenship to matter and for it to actually mean something, you're racist. If you, Lord forbid, want people to follow rules, you are racist. Meanwhile, they'll host an event and dare require you to show an ID to get in. Board a plane, you got to show an ID. Enter a federal building, you got to show an ID. Apply for a job, show an ID. Rent an apartment, open up a bank account. But for voting, how is it that the most sacred civic act that we can actively participate in this country, that they claim, listen, this is the hypocrisy. They're always talking about how we fought for the right to vote, and these fools don't even want to protect it. They claim that they fought for the right to vote, but they don't want to protect that right. They will just allow anybody to come on in and just jump and piggyback off of what that means. And then they expect you to be okay with that. You're supposed to act like verifying citizenship. They want you to believe it's oppressive. All this is just propaganda. Let me grab these super chats. I'm so sorry, y'all. I got caught up. Here come another one. This is my fault for I had coffee I finished it. I shouldn't have did it. I should have did it. Oh, God. Okay, y'all. Shout out to Riri from Brooklyn. Riri says, I'm late to your live stream. Happy Valentine's Day, sister. Happy Valentine's Day for now I can't talk. I'm hot and I can't talk. Happy Valentine's Day to you too. Shout out to my sis from Brooklyn. I am from the Bronx, so that's a hometown. That's my hometown people right there. Dash Chu How, shout out to you. Thank you for supporting me. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you coming by tonight. And I'm sorry I didn't get to these sooner, you guys. I do apologize. Hey, Brandon. Brandon said to trade in the chains of slavery for psychological slavery is crazy work. The white man can't be the problem. Brandon, you always come with the heavy hitter. Brandon is so right. Think about it, y'all. In one breath, the white man is the oppressor and he's the problem, right? But then now what Brandon is saying, the white man can't be the problem and the solution too. Pick a struggle. You're coming, you're going, you're coming and going. Like, which one is it? We've absolutely traded the chains of slavery for psychological chains. This is why I am working on a project that's called Slavery is a Choice. And it's, when I tell y'all this is going to make so many people mad, I'm going to be on the Black America's most wanted hit list. They gonna want to take us out for this one. Because when I say we are not holding back, we are absolutely working. I'm executive producer on another documentary that's called Slavery is a Choice. And just the title alone is going to stop people in their tracks because it's offensive. Like, it's supposed to make you mad. It's supposed to make you be like, what you say? It's supposed to make you want to fight. Absolutely. It is a choice. And we're going to talk about it and we're going to prove it. And I can't wait for it to come out. We have not started. Well, that's not true. We started shooting. What year was that? We have footage all the way back from 2024 that we didn't use, and we're just, trust me, we working on it. It's gonna be dope. Y'all gonna like it. Hey, girl, I stole your line. She was the one. Hey, Crystal, y'all, shout out to Crystal Beyond Labels. Y'all have to check out her YouTube channel. She is the one who talked about the there goes another one. I can see the word. I'm pulling it. It'll come to me. The Democrat strategy is to gaslight Americans. It is so sad how they are downplaying Jim Crow, but they want people to take the past struggle seriously. Well, this is why nobody takes it serious, because we don't see Jews do that. We don't see every time someone says something to them that you're making us relive the Holocaust all over again. We're the only ones. We're the only ones that do that. But I was saying the syndrome. God. Don't worry about it. I know what I'm trying to say. I can't get it out. I can't get it out. Thank you. Girl. I'm out here fighting for my life, Crystal. Y'all want to cry. I really do. This is bad. When I can't remember nothing. I can't. Listen, I'm sure somebody emailed me and I was supposed to email you back. Ain't nothing I can say other than sorry. Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking of. I said some syndrome. I couldn't get it out. I was like, does it start with an M? And I was just like, Manchurian syndrome. Oh no. Anyway. Oh, my homie. Hey, friend. He said they're trying to get this done in Connecticut. The Democrats are mad. They don't want them illegal votes going away. No, they don't. And see, y'all understand, if the SAVE Act passes, the Democrats don't really have anything left. The border's too secure. So they can't bring any more illegals in. If they don't get the illegals to vote now, they may very well, it'll be a cold day in hell before them Democrats get back in the executive office again. They are really freaking out. I told y'all, Trump wasn't supposed to survive Butler. Nobody was supposed to find out about all of the fraud in Minnesota. Nobody was supposed to be paying attention to all the fraud going on in California. Nobody was supposed to see what's going on in Chicago. These things were not supposed to happen. The election interference case, Fani was supposed to have that in the bag. And we're going to talk about that today. Trump is messing up their plan. This is why I said nuke the filibuster and get the daggone act passed. And all of these weak-kneed, jelly-back, punk Republicans that won't vote for it are getting on my nerves. They're getting on my nerves. And so my thing is, we don't need them if we nuke the filibuster. That's where I am. Shout out to Radiant Shade. Good job. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your super chat tonight. Brandon's back. This is for the April Chapman Unshakable Drone Fund. Listen, y'all need to pay for some hormone therapy or something. I got to do something. This is, how are you in media where you speak for a living, where you're expected to think on your feet, and you are losing your words? Like, not new vocabulary words, old words, words you're familiar with. Words that you can see, like you can see them in your head. You like, why I can't reach it. It is horrible. It is absolutely horrible. I don't know. I don't know. It's, and y'all know I'm not faking, because I had already said Stockholm syndrome earlier, and I was like, I couldn't think of drone to save my life. I kept saying Android. I was like, it's not Android, but it sounds like Android. I was like, it's similar, but not. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. It was so bad. We got a few more. Let me get to these. She said, love from your perimenopausal sister in Christ. Listen, when I say I feel that love, me and my stylist, we both going through it. And like, she was so late today, I didn't even care. I was like, you did your best. That's all we can ask. She was like an hour late. She just called me like, she was like, say less. We speak the same language. Like, I couldn't even be upset because I was like, it's one of them days. She did the best that she could. And that's all I could ask. Don't be putting pressure on me. Do not put this kind of pressure on us. We can't handle it. We fragile right now. We just gonna fall apart. It ain't good. It ain't good. Crystal, no. Oh, that's right, Kenny. Thank you so much. Don't forget to keep that Muslim woman who wants to be governor of our state. That's not gonna happen. Listen, I can tell you for a fact, Fulton County, Atlanta Metro might be liberal, but it's not enough for us. This is not New York. That would never happen. Now, you can't say never, because we do have Warnock and Ossoff, but yeah, what she represents is let me simplify my language, because I'm thinking of a term and I can't think of the word. She represents the smoke, the embers underneath the crust of Atlanta, of the direction that they want to go in. And if we're not careful, if we allow too much of the diversity, equity, and the inclusion and all the cultural Marxism and the equality, then yes, that will happen. But that's a statewide election. We have North Georgia, we have South Georgia, rural Georgia. It's not gonna happen. At least I don't see it happening. I don't. But I'm open to being wrong. I am open to being wrong. Hey, child, good to see you. Child says, see to it. Yeah, I was just quoting Colossians 2:8, that no one takes you captive through hollow and deceptive philosophy, which depends on human tradition and the elemental spiritual forces of this world, rather than on Christ. And this is what I'd like to see happen more in our churches. You already know, you guys, that the deacons of dependency, they've already sent out their flare warnings to all of the melanated Marxist black church plants, the pulpit pimps. They've already gotten their email so that tomorrow on the Lord's Day, they're going to take to their pulpit and they're going to talk about the SAVE Act. And they're going to spill this drivel to their congregation about Jim Crow 2.0, and they trying to voter suppression, and they want to bar us entry from the electoral process. And you're going to see a whole bunch of black folks in church standing up, clapping, and you're going to see that. Trust me. Watch woke preacher clips probably on Monday or at Wednesday at the latest to see how many of the black church plant pastors that get to their pulpit, and I can guarantee you they're going to say something about the SAVE Act and talk about how we got to fight back against this because the orange man in the White House is racist and he's trying to take your rights away from you. That's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do. Brandon said, I'm sowing a seed in faith to cancel out the spirit of perimenopausal drones. I wish it were that simple. I do. I wish it was that simple. But listen, I'm told that I've got a few girlfriends that have elicited the help of some outside hormonal assistance. So that's where we going next. The desperation is real. I ain't gonna make it. I ain't gonna make it like this. I need my brain. I am the queen of multitask. I am usually quick on my feet. I don't even feel confident making content anymore because I already know I'm gonna lose a word. I'm gonna lose a word, and I'll be like, you know what I meant. Like at that point, I'm like, it is what it is. It happened. Brain fart. Sorry. The confidence is just gone. Gone. Hey, Glennie, thank you so much. Thanks for speaking the truth. You are doing a vital work. Praise God. I appreciate your love and your support and your encouragement. It really does mean a lot. It is not difficult publicly creating a polarizing platform that talks about things that people will hate you for speaking, right? It's easy to hold these worldviews to yourself and to have, an opinion on them. It's another thing to take to a camera and to put out to the world that this is what I believe and this is what I know to be true. And you're a liar, and I'm going to talk and say all the things that need to be said, and I don't care what you think about it. Like, that's not easy. The reason why I don't respond if you guys like send me DMs and stuff is because of all of the hate mail I get. The stuff that people send me, I'm like, y'all, that's some nasty word. Y'all are evil. And I'm like, it's funny because I'm here in the belly of the beast, in the bastion of melanated Marxism. And I see so many people out and about who recognize me from YouTube And the ones that say something just be like, keep doing what you doing. And then the ones that just be looking at me, and I'm like, what? All that smoke you were talking in the DM, you ain't said it to my face. I have yet to have somebody come to me in my face with all of that aggression and energy. Because I told y'all, I keep Jesus in my heart and my 9 on my hip. So you run the risk. I mean, I'm not saying I'd pistol whip somebody, but you run the risk of something like that happening if you roll up on me in my face talking crazy. So they because they're cowards, and instead of them formulating a cogent argument to oppose what you say or to challenge what you say, they take to your inbox with the threats. So I'm like, I can't go through all of these. This is ridiculous. But it's interesting. They don't come in your face and say that. Most of them are weak gay men anyway. I mean, you a dude. If you're a dude in my DM, call me all kinds of names and stuff, you're gay. Because especially if you vote Democrat, I'm already convinced you gay anyway. So that's it. Krista said, Jamal Bryant and Fonnie sound like they want the chaos in Minneapolis here in Atlanta. We rebuke them. You know what? I have not watched. I've not watched that interview yet, Crystal. Jason had reached out to me earlier this week asking me if I wanted to cam up with him and react to it. And I wasn't in a good place. I couldn't make any my hair was nappy. Like listen, when you got a shortcut like this, you have to get it done often and regularly. And week 5 of the cut is brutal. Week 6 is impossible. But week 5, the cut don't cut. It don't lay right. I was not in a good place. I was like, I can't. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, my head is itching. I can't scratch it. I couldn't do it. So I haven't even watched it yet. So if y'all want me to cover the Fonnie Willis, Jamal Bryant's podcast interview, I fly out Tuesday. I would have to cover it either tomorrow or Monday, and I doubt I can do it tomorrow. So I might do it Monday night before I leave. If y'all want me to do that, put heck yeah just type heck yeah in the chat, and then oh Lord, that means I gotta watch it. That's 2 people I don't even like. Y'all want me to watch both of them? Have mercy. I'll be mature and I'll watch it. I'll do it. Hey, Mark. So good to see you. Mark said, hey, Miss April, not sure if you are familiar with a content creator by the name of Gothics, but she has decided to run for public office, asking for you to keep her in your prayers. I absolutely am familiar with Gothics. I interviewed Gothics in person at AmFest 2024. And I saw briefly a quick announcement that she was running for office. I'm trying to remember, is she in Rhode Island or New Hampshire? I can't remember. Crystal's also running, you guys. I'm probably going to reach out to Gothics and have her on the show, or see where she's going to be next, like if we're going to cross paths in the same city. So, we can get some more awareness out on her race. Absolutely. I do want to profile individuals who are running, who are Christians, obviously, and conservative. I do want to celebrate them, highlight them, bring attention to their race. Absolutely. Radiant Shade. Put this toward the purchase of your next fan. Love you. Y'all, honestly, I had 2, how many hot flashes I had since I've been, like 2? That's the most I've had in a really long time. And I've been doing pretty okay, but between the show, my eCam crashing, and then losing my words, I think that was just anxiety, I think, that triggered those. Because I've been fine. I haven't really had to whip out the fan. But Lord, if it wasn't here, listen, I don't know. to the Jay Witt podcast. Y'all make sure y'all go over and support. This is my brother from another mother. He said, but did you all hype this video? Have you liked it? Let's go. Great show, April. Y'all, I forget to ask y'all. Can y'all like this video and share it? Absolutely. I'm probably going to chop this up because it's very, very long. I've been on here like an hour and a half, maybe longer. But Jay Witt has been doing incredible work keeping up with the rambling reprobate, Candace Owens. You guys, it's difficult. I haven't even done any content on her because the level of festivity and disgust that I have with that woman, it ain't healthy. It is. Did y'all see that? What the Emily Rose was that? Like the fan just started wilding out on the, maybe it just fell. That's what happened. Okay, it rolled. Whoo, I was about to say in the name of Jesus. No, we're not doing that. Yeah, I haven't been able to do any content on her. And trust me, it is very lucrative to cover Candace, but my spirit ain't right. I'm the stuff that chick is saying and doing, I can't. Not right now. Dash Chu how? Don't worry about it. I love you too, sis. Said bioidentical hormones helped me with perimenopause a lot. That's my next step. We're there, girl. The patch. I'm about to be patching. Okay. My girlfriend got me a I have to do like the assessment and figure that all out. I've been told that I'll see some semblance of my old self with that. I was just trying to, that was a last resort for me. But at this point, I'm just like, Lord, I don't know what else to do. So we're probably, that's the next step. But thank you so much for that suggestion. Brandon said, we love you and we have your back, sis. You have been a tremendous blessing to the body of Christ in addressing cultural and political issues with a biblical perspective. You know, praise God. I'm grateful. I've always said, Lord, I just want to be found faithful. I'm not going to do it, perfectly. But the goal was to keep Christ top of mind and in the forefront, explaining that all of my opinions are rooted in my worldview, and just to lend some humor and cultural commentary that's relatable, but also informative and transformative and educational all at the same time. That's all I've endeavored to do. So thank you so much for that, Brandon. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Y'all really showed up and showed out with the super chats tonight. Thank you. I guess the hiatus was well worth it. Okay. See, I'm not trying to take over the live stream with this, but listen, if y'all want me well, we okay. I want to be well. Do you want to be made whole? Okay, yes. I mean, I'm talking hem of the garment whole. That's what I'm trying to get back to. So anyway, what are we talking about? Okay. ID verification. If we do not, or should I say, if we continue to perpetuate a system of weak verification, you guys, that's going to invite abuse. Like, we've already seen that happening. We saw during 2020 with the Zucker boxes and Stacey Abrams' organization and the mail-in ballots. Having a weak verification system invited abuse. So we need some sort of common sense boundary that prevents things like that from happening and ensures that only Americans vote. But the party that benefits from confusion, they're going to always defend confusion. So we got to stop letting the left use Jim Crow as some sort of weapon. Like, we're not fazed by it. My message to all the Black Americans in particular is to stop letting these people use Jim Crow like it's some little magic spell. Right? What the Democrats do as it relates to invoking Jim Crow and comparing the SAVE Act to that, it is incredibly disrespectful and just flat out profane because they're nowhere near the same. Don't use what our ancestors went through in their pain like it's some sort of political coupon. You should be ashamed of yourself, but y'all ain't got no shame. That's why y'all do what you do. And secondly, if we're just asking for an adult standard. That's not racist. The propaganda and the emotional manipulation, it is so tired and it is so weak, and it is necessary for us to call these Black liberals out, because they, especially the ones on this show, the Bakari sellers and the new Alencia Johnson chick, these people are making a career out of being professional race baiting propagandists. And Abby Phillips, whew, I almost had one. Abby Phillips is not a moderator. She's a leftist propagandist. She's never partial. She's never impartial. She's always taking a position that's leftist. And I'm like, how do you have a leftist show where you're trying to invite debate and you're supposed to be moderating and you're always on the side of the leftists? That doesn't make any sense to me. So if anyone was confused about what the SAVE Act was about, it is not Jim Crow 2.0. That is a lie and it's an insult. Okay, the bar is so low. I'm tired of the infantilization of it all and the idea that Black people can't handle basic responsibility without the Democrats babysitting us. It's just foolish. So don't buy it. And I mean, I guess that's all I really had to say about that. They're lying as usual. They need their electoral serfs, their new slave class to vote. And they know that if the SAVE Act passes, they're going to have all of those people here. Now, here's what the SAVE Act is not going to do. And we're still going to need Donald Trump to remain strong on immigration enforcement. All of the illegals are here. And if we don't get them out, they're still going to be counted in the census, which impacts how money is going to be distributed. Whenever Congress is, deciding what congressional districts get what, all of the places, the blue cities with all of these illegals in it, are going to have access to more money because they have more bodies. This is why it was very strategic for all of the illegals. They all went to sanctuary cities. And so what's probably going to have to happen, I don't know how it's going to happen if the blue cities are led by blue leadership. If the cities can get their sanctuary status revoked or removed, this is going to be a constant fight. The left is never going to cooperate with Donald Trump to get these illegals removed because they need the illegals for electoral purposes and for appropriation purposes. So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. But I was going to quickly, I'm looking at the time, it is 10:14. I was going to cover Fani Willis, you guys. And I had not talked about the latest update with Fani Willis and obviously the election interference case got dismissed. However, the new and latest development regarding Fani Willis is the legal fees that Donald Trump is saying, "Ish, pay me my money." Okay? So apparently, when you build your whole political career on this RICO fantasy that you've created, and as y'all remember, Fani Willis was doing this premature victory lap with the media, like she had already got the trophy and like Trump was already in jail and that like she had that case in the bag, only to then get caught up in a whole courthouse romance where her boo thing, and the boo thing's mama was out here getting flued out all over, jet setting all over the country, vacationing, spending up the money. What happened is, eventually, after you do all that, eventually you meet a little old friend named Consequences. And because, you know, once you get introduced to Consequences, it's not a fun introduction. So right now, Fulton County's, we're going to call her the Rico Hungry District Attorney. She has petitioned the court because Donald Trump and the co-defendants are like, you need to pay all of our legal fees based on this new Georgia law. And Fani's position is, hold on, judge. You can't make me pay these people back because this is unconstitutional. And I'm like, oh, so now it's unconstitutional. I'm like, ma'am, you put a former president, or tried to put him in jail, allegedly, while you were doing the bidding of the Democrat machine, following their orders, letting them put a battery in your back. You ran this whole prosecution like it was some episode of the Real Housewives of Fulton County. This chick showed her whole entire tail in court, gave the American people nothing but a whole bunch of orangutan energy. Like, we witnessed it in HD, showed all the way out. And now she want to be out here like she Harriet Tubman, advocating for constitutionality. I'm like, girl, bye. Listen. What Fani Willis has now learned, this is the find out phase. And she's learning that the find out phase comes with invoices that are due. And she don't want to pay. And what kills me about this whole situation, I haven't talked on Fani in a while, but what kills me is all of the collateral damage. Because you guys, y'all keep forgetting, this wasn't just, we were watching this like it was some sort of Twitter entertainment. You had real people, the co-defendants, in addition to Donald Trump, that got dragged. These people's reputations got destroyed, families stressed out, their bank accounts and assets were drained. People had to move, rebuild their lives, spend all of their money and future earnings defending themselves because of this stupid case. And now that the bill shows up and they're like, all right, well, the case got dismissed. You need to pay our legal fees. She wants to run to the Georgia Constitution and probably the U.S. Constitution, claiming about constitutionality. And I'm like, so now you care about rights. So I'm going to show y'all this clip. And this is the update. And then we're going to talk about it.
Fani Willis is asking a judge to throw out Donald Trump and the other election interference defendants' request for an estimated $17 million in legal fees. Channel 2's Richard Elliott is live at the state capitol, where a new Georgia law insists her office is on the hook for that money.
Was written specifically for Fani Willis in the election interference case. If she got disqualified, happened if the charges against...
I'm sorry, you guys, that is not my audio. That is the news's audio. Something was going on with their connection. It'll pass.
The defendants were dismissed, which also happens. Then her office could be on the hook for all of those legal fees. But more than one person says they're not sure that law is legal.
In her new filing, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis calls the estimated $17 million legal bill for Donald Trump and the other election interference defendants, quote, a suitably preposterous sum. In her motion to have that bill thrown out, Willis says some of the claims include $1,000 a night hotel rooms and seafood lunches costing hundreds of dollars, often, she claims, paid for by the Georgia Republican Party and various Trump PACs. Quote, the defendants are asking that the district attorney's budget and the taxpayer funds be handed over to the Trump campaign and the Georgia Republican Party for expenses including luxury hotels and seafood lunches.
Richard, there are a number of issues that we raised in our filing.
We spoke with Georgia Prosecuting Attorneys Council Director Pete Skandalakis after after a judge disqualified Fani Willis from the case, Skandalakis had to take it over and eventually dismissed all the charges. He didn't want to comment on Willis's newest filing, but he also filed his own motion saying he didn't feel the law that allowed Trump and the others to get their legal bills paid by Fulton County taxpayers was constitutional, a law passed specifically for Fani Willis and this case.
And then you have the overall problem with, is it constitutional? And that's another issue we raised.
While a judge will have to decide, Willis writes in her motion that her office has no plans to pay the $17 million bill. Quote, the district attorney has no intention of allowing Fulton County taxpayers to pay such an absurd amount for such an absurd reason.
Now, we did reach out to President Trump's Georgia attorney Steve Sadow for comment. Have not heard back. We're live at the state capitol. Richard Elliott, Channel 2 Action News.
All right, you guys. So here's where we are. This is what's happening. I'm going to summarize in plain English what happened. So you got Trump and several of his co-defendants. They're like, chick, reimburse us for these legal fees, okay? Now, the number being discussed is a little high. It's like when you add it all up, it is like $17 million in total. Now, Trump alone is asking for $6.2 million. Y'all know, Big Willie Trump, like, hey, this was expensive, trying to vigorously defend myself. Now, I looked up the Fulton County budget, and then I looked up the budget for Fani Willis. Her office budget is roughly around $40 million, depending on the fiscal year and how things are allocated. So when she says this could wipe out her office budget, she's basically saying that y'all are trying to take a third of almost half of my operating budget. And I'm like, okay, am I supposed to care about your comfort? No. However, I do care about Fulton County residents who unfortunately voted this heifer in, and I wish they hadn't, but I got a little sympathy for them because everybody was not on board with her being the DA, but she won a re-election. Still don't understand how that happened. But Fulton County is already dealing with a backlog of crime and dysfunction, and the county is just in disarray, in my opinion. So imagine being a taxpayer. Thank God I don't live in Fulton County, but you're already paying for the chaos. Now you might be also paying for her little oopsie bill that basically came from her ego trip that she refused to humble herself and just take the L. So my thing is, if you're going to play that I'm the most important prosecutor in America and you're going to be all big and bad like you the bee's knees and can't nobody touch you, then you better be prepared for what comes with the job. And that includes some discipline, integrity, and professionalism, of which she showed neither. So I'm going on dates with the special prosecutor, getting my back blown out, and got shocked when people noticed. So what I want to do, I've let you guys, you've seen the clip. We've analyzed what happened in terms of Skandalakis, who was the subsequent prosecutor who came on board, who looked at the case like, this case a mess. We cannot prosecute this. I think what many of us forget to realize, Fani Willis was talking all big and bad, but she is not the most competent prosecutor. We know this because we looked at how she handled the YSL case, and it was just a mess. Fani likes RICO because she feels like I can just loop a whole bunch of co-defendants and pile on all of these charges and make it look like it's some big conspiracy, and it proves to be a big win, and I can get a big budget for it and a whole lot of biddable hours. But a lot of times she doesn't have the evidence to support that it's actually conspiracy to commit a crime. She just didn't have that here. And so keep in mind, we've got to remember, as it relates to this case, there hasn't been a final ruling yet on whether or not the DA's office is going to have to pay this. They haven't determined if she's going to have to pay it and how much, because she has appealed it. But there's a fight regarding these fees because, remember, how did we get here? Fonnie was disqualified from the case. And she was disqualified not because a court formally convicted her of a crime, but because the judge found the, y'all remember, appearance of impropriety. Like the odor of mendacity was stinking to high heavens. I love that term. We heard it so much during the case. In grown-up terms, there was an appearance of impropriety. It was, this looks messy. This chick looks compromised. This looks like you can't be trusted to prosecute this case or be impartial because of all the inner workings of what you had going on here. And so that matters because you have to understand the top cop, the prosecutor, is not some random attorney. They represent the state. As the district attorney, as the prosecutor in the state, she has extra power and is supposed to be held to a higher standard. Not the hot girl summer in the courthouse standard that she was setting, but a higher standard. So the defense argument is essentially, you disqualified the prosecutor. The case got dismissed. All of the co-defendants are like, we spent all of this money defending ourselves. We want our money back. Based on the new Georgia law, we want our money back. But Fonnie is arguing that, listen, the law says misconduct. I was removed for the appearance of impropriety. And I'm like, dang, that kind of matters. I wanted her to be dismissed. I wanted the case to go away. I want all of my co-defendants and Donald Trump to get their money back. But the problem is, we have to ask, does it meet the threshold for that statute to apply? Because if not, they may not qualify. Granted, that law, the whole reason why that law exists is because of this case. And that's the legal problem, the conundrum we're going to run into. So, for example, I thought it was interesting that Fonnie was going through those invoices with a fine-tooth comb and wanted to highlight steak and seafood dinners and $1,000 hotels. I'm like, you didn't seem to be concerned about spending the taxpayer dime when you was flued out, going to the winery with your boo thing and celebrating the 50th, doing the 50th all big, because cash it's fungible, right? But now all of a sudden she going through the invoices like, I don't think I should have to pay this. And I'm like, listen, this is where the rules, she wants them to apply as long as it don't involve her, she wants the law to apply. This woman was trying to lock people up. She was all about the law is the law is the law. But now that the law might hit her budget, she like, well, wait a minute. The law is problematic. So is the argument that we only like laws if they hurt our enemies, but they don't hurt us? I mean, what are we supposed to think? I don't know. But in simple terms, these are the arguments that the law has created a due process issue, meaning the county could be financially responsible, but they may not have a proper way to defend themselves against this in court. There are multiple arguments going on here. We don't know if this law can be applied retroactively, meaning you can't punish conduct that happened after or before the law existed. They passed the law and then it was determined that the conduct, wait, that's not true. How did this happen? The odor of mendacity and the impropriety happened. I remember kind of right around the same time the Georgia State Senate presented this legislation and then it passed. But I can't remember which came first, the chicken or the egg. I think the egg of the law came after the chicken, And so they might be saying we can't retroactively apply that law to this situation. So that's, I don't know where that's going to leave us. But let me grab this super chat. Crystal said, April, I am stuck in oh, poor baby. She failed YSL terribly. She bit off more than she could chew in a few things. She has a habit of doing that. She did the same thing with the election interference case. She seized so much of the YSL, the Young Thugs' personal property, and ended up having to give it back. All because she botched, I can't remember, she botched the acquisition of it and she improperly seized it or something. It was just stupid, like junior attorney type mistakes. Like, the chick's incompetent. If she got off her back and went to work, maybe she just saying. Yes, she did. Ashley Merchant is no dumb blonde. She shook Fanny. She sure did. Like, Ashley Merchant was my new hero. The way she defended her client and the way all of this came out, like, Ashley Merchant really is the GOAT in this case, because had it not been for Ashley and her defense of her client, was it last name Roman? Was that her client's name? I'm don't expect me to remember. I'm doing the best that I can. But this is how it was determined that Nathan Wade and Fannie Pack had something going on. It was Ashley Merchant and her defense of her client where that information came to her. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And so Sister Ruth says April Fannie needs to go set. She do, but she too prideful for this. She is not gonna take this L. She gonna be down on the ground, heaving, waving. She ain't gonna wave the white flag, cry for mercy. She gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. She is. If y'all are expecting her to say, I give up, I screwed up, I made a mistake, it's not gonna happen. She's not gonna do it. She's too prideful for that. So the point I was making, though, in this whole case, character costs money. It just does. If you think about it, we're living in a culture that thinks competence, they don't hold competence in high regard. Competence is important, but the part that we are lacking in is the character part. Character is everything. And if you can't trust the top cop, the elected prosecutorial official, to have a basic standard of integrity, then, like, what do we have? We don't have a system that works well where justice is going to be sought. If you're a public official, if being found out doesn't just embarrass you, but you realize that you've embarrassed your state and the county, you've damaged the whole institution and eroded the public's trust, she does not care. We knew she didn't care because she had no problem standing in a church crying racism when we like, chick, no, that's not what had happened. You, lady. The whole Trump RICO case, it was more than just a headline. You got all of those subpoenas, the people's personal reputations that were damaged, the legal bills, the public smears. There are several co-defendants whose livelihoods were ruined. And that matters. And I don't care who you are. If you've been dragged into a political prosecution unjustly, and you've had to personally spend hundreds and thousands of, or some millions of dollars to defend yourself from a bogus case, your family has to deal with that. Your kids, your grandkids, if you had a business, your business felt it. Then I'm like, we need to have some sort of discussion. I understand there needs to be a discussion about the legal nuance piece, but we also need to say this prosecution was conducted by someone who lacked moral discipline, just the moral discipline required for the job. She should be on the hook for some of those legal fees. That's just my opinion. Fani was out here doing the bidding of the Democrat Party. And y'all know they needed somebody stupid enough to think that they could bring down Donald Trump, and it didn't work. But now the residents of Fulton County are all exposed and are possibly on the hook because of her misconduct. The DA's office is already dealing with backlog issues, and they already got a bad reputation for chaos. But my thing is, that's not Trump's fault. That's not the co-defendant's fault. That is the piss poor leadership and the piss poor character of their trash DA, who thought more of herself than of the residents who elected her. Fulton County did not need any help. Their reputation is already messed up. But now they're groaning because of her. And to me, I understand the new Georgia law, and a lot of times those legal fees, I mean, these attorneys, they live high off the hog. They like, look, I got to stay in a hotel and it needs to be close to the courthouse and it can't be the Motel 6. I'm billing you because I had to stay at the Hyatt Regency or I had to stay at the Omni, and this is how much it costs. And I had to eat, and I had to eat well because I was locked in that hotel room. So you got to pay up. So what I'm going to do, let's just be fair and explore all of the possibilities of how this might end up. You got one option where the judge could say this law doesn't apply here. And they might argue that the appearance of impropriety is not the same as misconduct. And since the statute requires misconduct, them just labeling it as an appearance of impropriety, I mean, to me, that's synonymous. Misconduct, appearance of impropriety. We know misconduct happened. But if that happens, those defendants might not get anything under the law if that's how the judge views it. Or the judge could say the law applies, but y'all ain't getting 17 mil. Some of the requests in terms of the invoices, they are questioning the bill and some of the line items on it. Fine. Even if the defendants do qualify to get some of those fees reimbursed, the judge could say that we're going to cut this amount down. We'll reimburse you, but not 17 mil. Or another option is if this ruling triggers some sort of constitutional question, this might get appealed and climb all the way up to the appellate division, and that'll drag this out some more. Or if I was Fani, I'd be like, I'm done. See, if she was humble, she'd be like, you know what? I screwed up. I've put these people through enough. Why don't we do this? Let's offer a settlement, right? Do some quiet money, a quiet agreement. Everybody just stops bleeding legal fees, avoids discovery, turning it into a more of a whole political soap opera. That's an option. And if it were me, if she had a conscience, she would take that option. But any of those four options are possible. We don't know which one. We don't know how this is going to play out. But let this be a warning. You have a breach of trust issue. The public is tired. If you are a resident of Fulton County, you are tired, okay? We're tired of watching these cities collapse while these elites play games with your tax money, with all these frivolous, the litigious lawsuits. All this does is communicate that, at least in Fani's case, the DA conducted herself in a way that got her removed from the biggest case, not just of her career, but probably in modern U.S. history. And now the case got dismissed because of her. Like, that was her fault. I don't even understand how she shows her face in public, but she don't have no problem. She's like, listen, she has no conscience. I don't know. So that is the update on what happened with Fonnie Willis. Will the co-defendants and will Donald Trump get his $6 million and the rest of the co-defendants total get $17 million? We don't know. I think they should get something though. That's just my opinion. It was very expensive to defend yourself against all of this. What did Brandon say? He said, Fonnie probably ate the collard greens Kamala Harris cleaned in her bathtub. Listen, that's just nasty. That is some ghetto hood rat backyard. I don't know nobody that was really doing that. I know that story was embellished. Ain't no way Kamala was cooking greens in the bathtub. I just refuse to believe that. I don't know. Is that how y'all do in India? I don't know. But in Black American culture, we don't wash greens in the tub. We don't do that. We don't. If you do that, tell me so I don't come to your house and eat your greens. And don't bring them to the potluck because we don't want that. Anyway, you guys have been a joy and a pleasure to spend time with this evening. If y'all want me to cover, Lord have mercy, I don't want to, the Jamal Bryant Fonnie Willis interview, I might. Ugh. That means I have to watch it. Or we could if y'all send me the highlights and tell me which part was the most egregious, just send me the timestamp, then I'll chop that out and do a live reaction without having previously watched it in advance. But let me give you guys, here's what I have on the horizon. The other day, I was on the phone with a friend, and we were talking about, y'all know it's still Black History Month, right? So we were talking about Black History Month, and we were talking about the Civil Rights Movement. As y'all know, MLK Motives Unmasked, flagship project. If you have not seen it, we're in season 2. Go over to historrev.com, which is Chad Jackson's website, or go to his Patreon and subscribe so that you can watch it. But I was thinking, in all of these civil rights icons, for example, John Lewis, I'm incredibly intrigued by Congressman John Lewis. And I learned some things about John Lewis that gives me more pause and makes me want to question the civil rights movement even more. Did you guys know that John Lewis was an ordained Baptist minister? I had not known that. But more importantly than that, do you know how right now, like 30% of young Black boys are unsure of their sexuality, and why the homosexual agenda is so pervasive within Black culture now, when at one point it was incredibly taboo? Like, the gay was not our thing. Like, it just wasn't, no shade. Well, in doing some research, I've seen a thread. Now, this part is not a secret, that the LGBT agenda absolutely hitched its wagon to the civil rights agenda. But I don't think you guys realize how much of these freak nasty diddy-crat civil rights leaders, they were the gateway that led us down this path. And I'm thinking about covering John Lewis, looking at his legacy, looking at the Equality Act, which he authored. The Equality Act is the one where it makes it illegal to discriminate against sexual orientation and gender identity. It added that to civil rights under the Equality Act. And how this man had been advocating for the LGBTQ freak nasty stuff dating all the way back to 1997. Now, that's when he first publicly started advocating for it legislatively. But that wasn't where it originated. The civil rights movement of the 1960s always included, it was always a part of the vision of LGBTQ rights. And I don't think many of us knew that. And I don't think many of us knew that John Lewis, all the way back in 1997, was the first one that wanted to introduce that. And I don't believe many of us knew that John Lewis was also the Grand Marshal in the Gay Pride Parade in 1997 down here in Atlanta. Like, y'all, I was here in 97. I remember the social and cultural climate of Atlanta in 1997. And the cloud of sodomy and debauchery, granted, we had the Freaknik cloud, but the cloud of sodomy and debauchery was nowhere near as heavy on the city then as it is now. And way back then, this man was advocating for that. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm not making any sort of assertions regarding John Lewis's sexuality. But what I am going to just ask questions in terms of what heterosexual married man and father openly and proudly advocates for LGBT stuff unless they have an affinity toward that lifestyle. Because I got a whole lot of male heterosexual friends, and they have a visceral, physical reaction to the thought of that type of ideology, worldview, and lifestyle. They're not an ally. They're not an apologist for it. They're not going to author any sort of legislation about that. They don't want to be nowhere near close with a 10-foot pole with a hazmat suit on. It's a hard no for them. And yet you want to convince me? You want to convince me that one of your civil rights icons that you celebrate, that Barack Obama gave the Congressional Medal of Honor, y'all see, y'all ain't think that was weird? Barack Obama gives him, was it the Medal of Freedom? What was the name of the medal? Let me not misspeak. I said I wasn't going to cover this yet because I still got a little bit more research to do, but let me just make sure I get the name of it correctly. It was John Lewis Medal. Yep. Barack Obama gave him the Medal of Freedom. Sure did. 2010. He awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Congressman John Lewis, Barack Hussein Sodomite Obama. John Lewis was advocating for the LGBT freak nasty stuff. He was the Grand Marshal in the Pride Parade in Atlanta. I mean, he in the float waving, y'all, just passing bulldogs. If you here in Atlanta, you know the club Bulldogs. You know the kind of club that is. I mean, he just giddy, just happy as he can be. I don't know not now one heterosexual man. I don't. That would be like, sure, I'll get in a float and wave and ride in a pride parade. What's a little pride? I don't know one. I don't. So we're going to cover that. And it's going to make sense because whenever you want to look at how a thing came to be a thing, if you want to analyze what's going on in the Black community and why we're so jacked up and all the sexual perversion, where the heck did all of that foolishness and advocacy come from? You need to look at the Congressional Black Caucus. Now, I am going to do a documentary on the Congressional Black Caucus one day, but to prepare for that, we're gonna start with John Lewis. Right, sure are. And we're going to talk about it. And y'all ain't going to like it, and I don't care. I don't care that he got his head bust. He got bust upside the head on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I do not care. I don't. Because I am no longer going to buy into the romanticized lie that has been perpetuated on the Black community when the truth has been hiding in plain sight and we just refuse to see it. We've refused to see it. I'm not doing it anymore. So, we're doing that. I don't have a timeline for it yet. Once I finish pulling together all my resources, and I guarantee you every resource that I use and reference will be a liberal progressive one. We're going to let these people tell on themselves in their own words. I'm not going to use conservative sources. We're going straight to who do they say their people are. Let them speak and tell on themselves. And that my thesis is, I have a thesis and then I have a subtext. It's not a sermon or anything like that. But the thesis is the reason why the sexual perversion and the debauchery, particularly within the Black church, but within the Black community, we can lay squarely at the feet of that civil rights movement with all them freak, nasty civil rights leaders. Y'all call them your leaders. But not just that. What got us here today to where now Black Christians have no choice but to accept this sexual perversion because it has hitched itself to your struggle. You got it. It rises and falls together. You can't pick and choose and be like, well, I want this, but now I don't want. No, it goes together. It goes together. And then I was going to say I had a sub-thesis, but I lost it. It'll come back eventually, but I don't remember what the sub-thesis was. I had a point. I forgot what it was, but it'll be well researched and I will present it soon because it's top of mind. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. The sub-thesis is that, or the conclusion, let me put it like this. The conclusion that I will be drawing from that is, at this point, if you are still a Black American man and you are still supporting the Democrat Party, I have no choice but to believe that you are probably a homosexual, like you're gay. That's where I'm landing. I don't care if your granddaddy, your pappy, and your favorite uncle is still over there. I don't have a choice but to believe that they okay with this. After I present it, and I draw the connection to this is how we got here, and you still support these jokers, what does that say about you? So, y'all ain't gonna like it. And it's gonna hurt your feelings. And you're gonna need to send it to your family members. They be like, this chick on the internet say, if you a Black man, you still vote for Democrat, you gay. Yep, I sure did. I sure did. Or you're on the low and you just ain't come out the closet yet. And I'm like, just come out. Be your authentic self. Because you're gonna have to pick and choose. You're not gonna be able to like, well, no. No. You got to pick. You got to pick. You don't get to straddle the fence. You either in the closet or you're out. And if you're out, fine. But if you're still over there, then in my opinion, you're in. It is simple and binary for me. That's where we are. And I'll prove how, if you're still over there, why you must be that. And if that affects your manhood and makes you feel some sort of kind of way, good. It should. It should. That's the point. You're going to leave either by biblical conviction or I'm going to question your manhood. But one of them two. Now, to me, they both are good enough reasons. But you're going to get one or the other from me. And I'm not holding back. So, all right. Let's go. I'll be in DC next week, you guys. I will do my best to try to pop in and do a quick live stream while on the road, but I can't make any promises. I'll be struggling. I'll be struggling, and I'm gonna do my best. But I love you guys with the love of the Lord. So until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.